Good morning. This lighting that I have makes me look, oh my god, it's like so bright, right? Hold on. Oh. Is that better or worse? Hey guys, sorry, just playing with my lighting over here. Good morning. It is freezing over here in New York. I'm wearing my favorite sweatshirt from Mexico. I'm freezing. It's so cold. I don't think I'm going to live my whole life on the East Coast. I don't think I'm going to make it. I think a West Coast move is probably on the horizon. Where's everybody else from? Good morning. Thanks for joining. I've been on the East Coast my whole life, and it always affects me the winter time, and I always complain about it. It's time to do something about it. Nova Scotia cold. Oh, yeah, definitely. Brr. Okay. This is also another quick live. I felt like yesterday's live was pretty quick. Sometimes I say that, and sometimes I digress. But I just want to get on this morning, be present, talk to you guys about something that's been on my mind lately, and that's selfish versus self-care, and what is the difference, and how could you tell, and if anybody's ever experienced this, because I have myself. I need to fix my hair, hold on. If anybody has experienced this, a lot of people think that you're being selfish when really you're just trying to take care of yourself. So there's a fine line, I think. But I can kind of talk about what I think is the difference. That could be helpful for you guys. Sorry, my hair is just kind of all messed up. There we go. It's a little better. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. Let me introduce myself. My name is Justine Luzzi. I'm a spiritual life coach, and what that means is I help people get spiritually connected. I help people empower their intuition, and I help people help heal themselves, and this is to create a life of emotional freedom. And I think that's something that's super important, right? I think that's one of the keys to happiness. So with that, I am also a big advocate of highly sensitive people and empaths, and I study that a lot. I believe I am one. That's somebody, in short, that feels energy really deeply, has a very sensitive central nervous system. If you resonate with any of that, please message me. We can talk about whether you suspect that you're a highly sensitive person. I also want to apologize for the lighting. Let me just say that because my face looks so red, but it's just, I haven't perfected the lighting on my Facebook Lives yet, or video in general, so I apologize. But one last thing, I also, I study different healing modalities, and I am a certified crystal healer, so if you want to do a session, let me know, and I'm also an angel card reader, so if you want to do one of those sessions, let me know. I think it's a very lucrative thing, especially if you want a low pressure way of seeing if we work together, whether we vibe and work, and that therefore we can work together. Sorry, I can't speak this morning. Let me know if you want to do that as well. I always put my link to my scheduler in my Facebook Live comments, so if you want to book some time with me, that would be awesome. Let me just take a sip of my coffee because it's so cold and this is so hot. 1 second. Okay, cool. Thanks for joining, guys. Like I said, it's going to be a quick one because it's really, to me, it's really just one point that I want to get across. I've been called selfish a lot of times in my life. I used to grow up thinking I was a sociopath. And it's funny to me now. It would have been not so funny back then. I used to think that because I would often do things that made me feel good. And I was following my intuition without even really knowing it. and or being conscious of it, and I was just trying to feel good all the time, and since I'm an empath, it takes extra care, right? Because you feel everything so deeply, so it's really important for you to kind of shield or protect your energy in order to function every day, right? And I don't think a lot of people understand that is protecting your energy is the number one thing you can do as far as self-care is concerned. So yeah, I used to be called selfish all the time, and it's coming up again. I think any time that you stick up for yourself or make an empowering statement saying, this is what I need, I know this is what I need, sometimes it can be misconstrued in a different way, right? Especially to people that are used to being selfless all the time. And there's nothing wrong with being selfless. I think it's a very admirable thing. I think sometimes in your life you are selfless. I think a lot of times, I'm not a parent, but I truly believe that when you're a parent, there are more times when you are selfless than the average person. So I don't think that anything's wrong with that. And again, I don't believe in I don't believe in right or wrongs, only extreme right and wrongs. I don't condone murder or anything, but I don't really believe that there is a true black or white answer onto how much selflessness is needed in life or in what circumstances and when. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So going back to the selfish versus self-care, I think the main difference when you are performing a certain way and you have to question whether you're being selfish or performing self-care is really ask yourself why you're doing it, right? So it all comes down to intentions, and that's the word I wanted to bring up today is your intentions of why you are canceling on somebody, or why you are not spending the holidays with your family, or why you're not going to somebody's bridal shower, whatever it is, spending time with a friend, whatever it is, you need to ask yourself what the intentions are behind it. If it's because you'll be too overwhelmed and it will, like if you go to this bridal party and then you'll be too overwhelmed, and it's just something that will deplete your energy and it will prevent you from being productive in other things that you need to accomplish in your life, then that's an act of self-care. And a lot of people think it's selfish. You've maybe known this person your whole life, but it's not when you look at it that perspective. And it's important, again, and I talk about this all the time, and this is something that I talk about with clients all the time, is that it is so important to see other people's perspectives on things. So we're able to not put people down for doing things that are self-care, but we can be perceiving it as selfish. I think a lot of people come from different life experiences and different perspectives that you have to be able to honor them instead of putting them down and saying that they're selfish. Does that make sense? Can I get some likes or some hearts if that makes sense? We're not here to put people down, and who are we to know, what their intentions are behind the actual act that we're calling them selfish about, right? We don't know what's going on in people's lives. We don't know what drains people's energy. We don't know where they are in their lives and what the intention is actually behind it. And if it's somebody close to you and you want to kind of smooth out the relationship, go ahead and ask, right? Say, why can't you come to this party? Or why aren't you spending the holidays with your family? Just ask them instead of name calling all the time. And maybe I'm coming from a place of feeling attacked, but sometimes I do feel that way, right? Sometimes I feel that moment of, like I said, when I grew up thinking I was some type of sociopath sometimes, is that, especially when it comes to, like, your family. And I don't know if you're like me, but I do come from a little bit of a codependency within my family. So it's a little hard because, the mentality there is kind of doing things to make other people happy. And that's not how I want to live my life. It's not, I've tried that way. It made me extremely depressed. So it's not my mentality. It's not a spiritual perspective in my eyes. It's just not something that is a value of mine, right? I actually believe that we should all, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, and it's kind of like the theme of what I'm teaching is intuition. I really believe that we should be doing things that make us feel good, with the exception of some things we have to do. Technically, I mean, I want a roof over my head, so I have to pay my rent. So that's something that I have to do. I don't necessarily enjoy it. It doesn't necessarily make me feel good. But that is, there are exceptions, right? But like generally we're here on earth for a lot of things, and it's not to make other people happy, I'll tell you that. That's definitely not one of them, but one of them is to genuinely feel good. We're here to feel good. We're here to fulfill our passions and our purposes, and we're here to make really great relationships and nurture those relationships, but we are certainly not here to make anybody else happy or explain ourselves to other people or live our lives according to what other people want us to from their perspective. So hopefully that makes sense. And just to reiterate, I would say the main difference between being selfish versus self-care is the intention behind it. Hey, Catherine. Is the intention behind it. So I just want to say, going into, I know this holiday season, Thanksgiving is tomorrow, American Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and I know a lot of people have to be around their families, and sometimes a lot of their families don't really agree with everything that you're doing, or the best place, I think, to practice this, or where you're more likely to be called selfish or that kind of thing, is like usually around the holidays and with your family. And maybe I'm just speaking on my perspective, but correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of times in families, that's what usually happens, right? So just going into the holiday season, I just want to say, protect yourself as much as you can. Just do what feels good. Set boundaries with family. That's another thing. And I think I'm going to go live tomorrow and kind of give you some tips on as an empath, you sure I'm with kind of tend to be people pleasers, and it's wonderful we find your sense to take. Aw, Genevieve, yay! Thanks. Totally true. We tend to be people pleasers. Exactly. So we're not here to be people pleasers, right? Yeah, that's a great comment, Genevieve. Great. Yeah, so just going into the holiday season, set boundaries, double down on the self-care, and if you're feeling kind of down about yourself, and I just have to say, have self-compassion, and that's something I talk about as well. Nothing good comes from blaming yourself or hating on yourself or any of that. Guilt is a complete waste of time, and I was just about to say I'm guilty of that. I tend to have a lot of guilt as well for a lot of things that I do, and I'm sure that's also being an empath, Genevieve. So just take the time to, like I said, self-care, self-compassion, and setting boundaries, and I think you'll all be good. So yeah. Okay, so I will be, yay. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, I am. I'm actually going to go live tomorrow. That was what I was about to say. I'm going to go live tomorrow, I think I want to talk about more of what I'm talking about today, about prepping everybody for a time with their family, and it's just some tips on how to deal with different personalities and things like that. So I'm not really sure exactly. I haven't hashed it out, but it's going to be something around there. So stay tuned tomorrow, and I thank you for watching today, and I will see you guys soon. Okay, bye.